What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Whiskey Jedi. I am Jake Berlin. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. As you can see, I have two special guests with me here tonight. I have Alex and Mollie Damon from Star Wars Explained joining me to drink some whiskey and, luckily enough, talk some Obi-Wan Kenobi, which just so happened to work out perfectly. The scheduled episode that we had this week. How you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah, that worked out great.
Yeah.
This has been planned for maybe like 2 weeks, everybody, and it just so happened that the trailer dropped yesterday, and it was perfect timing. And now we have a full-fledged hour worth of conversation with this new footage, which is awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. It was only like a minute and a half worth of
minute 45 or so.
With it worth of a teaser trailer, but oh man.
It felt like so much happened in just a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure, hopefully, that's all from the first episode or two. I hope they're not giving away a whole lot.
Probably not.
Yeah. Crossing fingers because it is only 6 episodes. Yeah. But yeah, so obviously we're going to talk some Star Wars tonight, as is one half of the show. The other half is the whiskey portion. And if you have watched before, you know that I leave the topic and the whiskey up to my guests. And Alex and Mollie went with, and I always pronounce this wrong, it's the Balvenie, if I'm correctly pronouncing it.
I was going to ask you I have no idea how to pronounce it.
I'm pretty sure it's the Balvenie, and Mark Koss is in the chat, actually, and he looks to be a big fan of it. It's a 12-year Scotch, and it has a long history. We're going to talk about it here in a little bit. But I wanted to ask just kind of maybe the decision behind choosing this one, or was it just simply the one that you had on your shelf?
Well, we had this in Lagavulin. So I don't know. I think Mollie was the one that made the choice between those two.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to ask Jake to go buy the Lagavulin one that we have because that one's even more expensive. And you only started drinking that because of Ron from Parks and Rec.
That's why I tried it first, but it's legit awesome. So I kept drinking it.
It tastes like liquid smoke.
It tastes great.
But
I won't disagree with liquid smoke. I will not disagree with that.
What made you buy this one? I remember when you got it.
Yeah, this was in the Book of Accidents, which is a novel by Chuck Wendig, who I only started reading because he wrote the Aftermath series.
Makes sense now. It makes sense.
Yeah, he described this Scotch in that book, and I was like, that sounds good. And I Googled it, and I was like, oh, it's real. And so I went and tried it. But yeah, Chuck is a good writer. Book of Accidents was good. Wanderers was awesome. So yeah, read some Chuck Wendig. He's got good stuff.
And he leads you to whiskey, which is always good. So is Scotch like your go-to as far as whiskey, or is it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll drink bourbon and whiskey smashes. I don't really drink Irish whiskey. Yeah, I think I usually tend to stray towards Scotch. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big whiskey person, but I like Scotch.
Yeah. And Mollie, you drink it just when you're required to, right?
I drink it when there are picklebacks involved. I wanted to go get pickles to have pickle juice for this tonight, and Alex was like, please don't mix this with pickle juice.
Yeah, you got to enjoy. This is one you just sit and enjoy. You don't mix. You don't do anything with. You just sit there and enjoy it.
Speaking of novels, in The Expanse Book 3, they get Lagavulin and they take shots of it. And I was like, what's wrong with all of you? I mean, they're from space, so I don't think they knew. But like, Lagavulin is supposed to still be around. It's still from Earth, like hundreds of years in the future. But still, they were doing shots, and I was upset. That's the most angry I've been at The Expanse.
Wow. Because they're doing shots of your favorite.
Yeah. Who would do that?
Oh.
Maybe it's not as high quality in the future in space. I don't know.
Yeah, it sucks now.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up one comment real quick, though, because there are so many comments so far. But Curtis, way down below here, only the second person to say it. Hello there, Curtis. Thank you so much for joining.
Hello there.
Maybe that's a good thing that he's only the second person to say it.
General clam sauce.
Yes, to everyone watching, thank you so much. We're going to be getting into Obi-Wan here in just a sec. I'll be going over some details on the whiskey a little bit later in the show. I'll just say that it has a very long process of how this is really made. Not just like the 12-year portion, but it goes through like 4 or 5 different barrels of sitting and waiting for a long time, which is pretty cool. But let's get right to it. Obi-Wan Kenobi. 17 years in the making. It's finally here. We are officially getting it. We got our first look. I'll go to you two first and just kind of initial reactions before we start diving into specific topics. and I watched the trailer reaction you guys had posted on the Patreon as well. But what is like your initial thought now that we finally got a look at this series?
I mean, I had chills the whole time. Well, from the second Duel of the Fates kicked in, that's everything was like, yeah, this seems unexpected. He's got his Eopie. He's in the desert. He's watching Luke. Got it. But then I don't know. Duel of Fates it's such a cheap move, but it works.
Oh yeah, you're like, oh, they're doing it. They're doing it to me with this song. Yeah, I was excited because there was so much in the trailer that was like, oh, okay, no, we're not going to spend this whole time in the desert. He's going to this new planet that's very urban and has this like cool city feel. And the teaser was very Inquisitor heavy, which is amazing that we're getting Inquisitors in this show. Makes sense, but it's still just like cool to have it set in stone.
Yeah,
that
they
it's
did
happening.
so much that I wasn't expecting them to show. Like we'd heard rumors of the Grand Inquisitor, and they were just like, "Here he is! Like here's Inquisitors. There's the Fortress Inquisitorius. Like and Obi-Wan's not on Tatooine the whole time. Like they're already showing us a lot more than I expected. So that makes me excited for like, okay, well, what are they not showing us?
Young Biggs.
Yeah, obviously that's where I was going with that.
Best friend Biggs to baby Luke Skywalker. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's cool just because obviously it's been so long since we've seen him, and there's a huge time gap from the last time that we did see him in the timeline. It almost felt like it was needed to answer a lot of questions, even though it is a teaser. It really needed to set us up for like what kind of atmosphere the show is really going to be about. Like who is really the villain? Obviously Vader is going to play into it, but it seems like you guys said the Inquisitors are a massive part of this show. And one in particular, a brand new one that we're meeting in Reva, who is very cool looking, very menacing looking. She's in a lot of parts of the trailer. But yeah, I just love that they kind of didn't really care to beat around the bush about anything. Because I mean, sometimes that's fun and that's exciting to like speculate and like wonder and stuff like that. But I just love that they're saying, yep, this is what the show is. We know you're excited for it. Here you go. And it obviously blew up and people are very excited about it. So, and it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. So like, how can you really argue against it?
Yeah. I thought it was a cool choice that they're starting with, I figured they would go this route, but they're starting him out as being like this very broken version of Obi-Wan. And that's going to be heartbreaking for everyone to see. But it's just awesome that we're going to see that part of him and see him realize that like, oh no, like I have to leave Luke and leave Tatooine for this other reason. And to see that process happen is going to be really intense.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to him pulling himself out of that funk where he looks like he's just beaten himself up for what happened to Anakin, and he's blaming himself, and he's just like literally living in a cave. And I'm looking forward to him being like, you know what, I deserve a house and furniture and stuff.
That's how the series ends, right? It's got to end with him like officially moving into his eventual hut. Like,
maybe
that almost makes sense.
It's possible the cave is under his hut because that's
that's actually a good call.
Well, the whole idea behind his original home was it was supposed to be in a cave, and then they changed it in the movie, and then they were like, he lives above a cave or something like that. That was all in development of A New Hope, so it's possible he was just in his basement, but I don't know why he would bring a pillow and a blanket down there.
Oh no. That's like the ultimate in hiding. He's not just in his own hut. He's in a cave underneath his hut.
Well, I wanted to bring up one comment. Here it is. Doomslayer here. Plot twist. That was Biggs in the trailer. Luke's actually inside. I mean, you never know, but I doubt it with the way that it was set up.
Speaking of Luke, a tiny mustache.
Yeah,
if that was him.
Let's talk about Luke for a little bit, because obviously he's gonna play a minor part, not a huge part, but a minor part, because Obi-Wan is overlooking him. That's his job. Do we expect to see like confrontations with the two of them, meetups, or is it always going to be from a distance? What do you guys think?
I kind of hope it's always from a distance. I don't know. Like we could get just a random line from little kid version of Luke, but I don't know that they should show him too much.
I agree. I hope that we see Luke through Obi-Wan's eyes, where it's just from afar and he can see him, but he can't like interact with him. He can't train him or do any of the things that he wants to do, help make him the chosen one or whatever. But, Luke definitely knows who Obi-Wan is or been in A New Hope. So they could meet, but I'm kind of hoping they don't.
Yeah, maybe he'll just be known by all the other kids around town as like old Ben, and Luke just knows of him because of that.
I do like the idea, that image of the third sister confronting Uncle Owen. I'm like, all right, I wouldn't mind, like, that might be too close
right
if Luke is like right behind Owen, and it's like the Inquisitors were so close.
Yeah, I love the fact that it's an interesting story plot, obviously, and with their connection in the future, and like you said, Luke knowing of Ben. I'm more interested in the Uncle Owen side of it all, and like you said, that image really makes me believe that he's going to have a decent sized role in this, and that the confrontation between him and Obi-Wan, where I think we might learn why Owen is so like against him. Maybe something happens or he gets too close or something. But yeah, Alex, just like you said, that image really excited me just because, one, it's Joel Edgerton. He's returning after being cast in Revenge of the Sith. But to see that they were so close and that she's like right there and Luke is literally under her thumb. And then 15 years later or whatever, he's literally saving the galaxy against them. It's very interesting to see from that perspective in Obi-Wan's eyes. That's for sure.
I feel like we got so lucky with Joel Edgerton where he was in like 3 scenes in the prequels. And I mean, he just blew up since then, and he's been in awesome movies like Warrior and really made a name for himself. And it's like, yes, like bring him back. I'm so glad that's working out.
Well, Deborah Chow said in an interview for the magazine, I think, like, thank God he got cast for this, and thank God he's back. So that's got to mean that he's got some really amazing scenes.
I'm trying not to read too much into it because JJ said the same thing about Kelly Marie Tran, where he's like, oh, the best thing Ryan did was cast her, and I'm so grateful. And then it's like, well, come on, JJ.
Hopefully Deborah Chow has a little bit better grasp on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I want Uncle Owen to have a sizable role in this. Like, obviously, Obi-Wan's going to be going off, leading everyone on a wild bantha chase or something. But I really want to explore Uncle Owen because I enjoy his stories in the comics, where you see like he super, super cares about Luke, and all of his gruffness in episode 4 is coming from just a desire to protect him. And that's it. But, the first time you read or you watch that movie, you're like, God, Uncle Owen's kind of a hard ass.
Yeah.
But it's all coming from a loving place. And so I want to see that side of him.
Yeah. And this might be the only chance we ever get to see him. Like, I don't know wherever else he could really fit inside a Star Wars universe story, whether it be TV or movies. An Obi-Wan Kenobi show is kind of like the only place that we could actually see him going forward.
And it's going to make watching episode 4 worse, I think.
Yeah. The fact, like his ending, how terrible it is.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, outside of Ben and Luke, let's talk about the Inquisitor portion of all this. We talked about it a little bit, but they are heavily involved in this trailer. Multiple of them, characters from Rebels, new Inquisitors as well. And I'm sure it got you two very excited just because of the Star Wars lore and bringing it back into live action after their introduction to Rebels. Not just the Grand Inquisitor, but the Fifth Brother. It seems like they're really going heavy on this dark section of the universe, which is very exciting. Do you think the Grand Inquisitor is going to be heavily involved, or do you think it'll come through the other Inquisitors a little bit more than it will him?
I think the third sister is going to be the focus for
some reason. The fact that, right?
Yeah, the fact that they gave her a name, they really focused on her in Entertainment Weekly and in the trailer. So, and we know that the Fifth Brother and the Grand Inquisitor survive until Star Wars Rebels. So I think that he'll be present, but not the main baddie. Like, I think he'll be kind of, I'm giving you the mission. Maybe this deal with Kenobi is a little more involved than we thought. Like, third sister, you got this. You handle this. I'm going to go.
Yeah. I agree. They teased him a little bit in the trailer, and I can't imagine he's going to be in it too much. I don't know. We talked a lot about like what he looks like, and maybe that means that, you know, he won't be as involved because everybody's like so fixated on how different he looks from, you know, other places that we've seen him. I honestly, though, I'm more interested in the other Inquisitors than him, just because I don't know, she's new, so I'm always going to gravitate more towards the new characters.
Yeah, it's exciting to kind of expand on that lore of Star Wars, because it's a minor portion of what we've experienced so far, and especially if you're a casual fan and you've only seen like live action stuff, you would have never seen them in Rebels, and you would have never seen them in Fallen Order as well. Which I'm sure when you saw Inquisitorius, Alex, you were like,
oh, that was my, like, in the reaction, like Molly posted our pictures, but this was me going like, oh my God, they're actually doing that. I wasn't, well, I guess I was expecting it because of the concept art. And I was like, hopefully that's Inquisitorius, but maybe I was so shocked I was right for once. Yeah, I'm so psyched that the idea that people make these things up for their books or their comics or the games, like Black Chrysanthemum, I don't know, just anytime someone's creation gets recognition in the wider universe, it's exciting to me. So I'm super psyched to see Nur and the Fortress Inquisitorius.
Yeah, you said something like, oh, it's Nur, and I thought I misheard you, and I was like, what are you doing?
That's the moon.
I thought you meant that was the Grand Inquisitor's name. And I was like, what? He has a name and it's Nur?
No, that's the planet.
Which is in, for those watching who may not know, Nur, which is where the Inquisitor's fortress is, it's in the Mustafar system, just off of the planet. So very close to Vader. They are Vader's, soldiers, if you will. It's just cool because it gives it a very dark tone. And there's something new that we haven't experienced in live action before. Also, helicopter lightsabers, like, it's happening. It's super exciting. I know, Alex, you don't believe it might not happen, but I mean, the possibility is actually there.
I will clap if it happens. I will be excited, like, just because it's such a bold decision. And I'll be like, hey, I know it exists. Like, that's on you guys if you want to throw it into a live action show, and I'm on board.
Yeah.
If you go that way.
I'm just gonna go ahead and expect that it's going to happen. And if it doesn't, that's okay. But it's right there. They gotta take advantage of that.
Maybe we see them training and they're learning to helicopter fly.
I think that, Molly, what you said, that they'll kind of like in Fallen Order, they'll hint at it. They won't go full on, but like the Ninth Sister has an attack where she'll jump up and like the blade spins above her and then she brings it down. And it's a very video game, like telegraphing her move so you can dodge it thing. But they could do something like that where it's like they're not full on flying, but they are doing the thing.
That's all I really am asking for. I don't need them to literally take off into the sunset with their helicopter saber, but yeah, like a big force jump accompanied by a little spin. I need that to happen.
It's a cool design. So, I mean, why not play with it a little bit, even if it is like that? It's just a small tease for us fans who recognize it from Rebels.
I'm interested to see. I need to try to find people who haven't seen Rebels, how they're reacting to that lightsaber. Because
the spinning one?
Yeah, because it did not have a good reaction from what I recall when Rebels first came out. And people were like, oh, I mean, every time you introduce a new lightsaber idea, people are like, oh, it's too far. The crossguard is too far. The hand blade, like every time they say it's just too much. But
you got to find a way to update something as cool as a lightsaber.
Yeah,
you can't just keep it the same.
Yeah, I'm curious to know if the general audience who hasn't seen all the animation or Rebels or anything, if they're like, neat. Or if they're like, what is this?
They're like, it spins now?
Yeah, it spins now.
Yeah, especially because in that shot, I mean, you didn't technically see the hilt either. So you don't know how it's spinning if you're a casual fan. It's just moving around really fast. And yeah, I mean, that would be very, I don't know if I have any casual fans who have never seen Rebels. A lot of my friends
could have a spinning hand. It couldn't be the lightsaber. Maybe his hand spins.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with the Inquisitors, I did have a question because the other Inquisitors that we saw, and I believe I'm saying right, the Lothian is the other species of the Inquisitor.
I can't tell what she is because she doesn't have like the little baubles at the end of her.
She had like it almost looked like the Ninth Sister, but smaller scale.
Yeah, it looked like she had something on her head.
I was wondering if she were like a Nautilin, but even
what is
like she just has very short little head tentacles.
What is Sacy-Teen?
Sacy-Teen's an Ectachi, but he has full on like horns.
She didn't. She looked like she had like 2 little horns.
I think she has like little head tendrils.
Oh.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's very dark.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think I can find a picture, but we've never met her before, right? She's a brand new Inquisitor.
As far as I know, no.
Okay.
I don't recognize her.
And she doesn't have a name like the other one, like Reva was given a name?
Don't think so.
Okay.
She could be the 4th sister. We've seen a design for that Inquisitor, but that was a rebel in disguise, so that could have been all made up. That'd be my closest guess. But either that or we're jumping to like 11th sister.
Yeah. Oh, Artie Films said that they learned something from your TikTok about the.
I pulled an image. Let's see if I pulled an image, and I don't know if it's clear enough, but let's see if we can see.
Drinking wine.
I don't like it.
It's not.
I don't know if that
wine.
helps.
Come on, Jedi.
Oh, okay.
I mean, those could be little. I see.
I thought they
tendrils,
were
but you might be right.
horns.
They might be horns.
But it is hard to tell because if they were a Thalothian, there would be more of them.
And she's got a total headgear thing going on
And
too.
yeah, the headpiece kind of looks Thalothian as well, but yeah, they usually have a lot more little head tendrils.
And they're kind of a different shape than that. Those are kind of skinnier at the end, and Thalothians kind of bulb out at the bottom.
That's why I was like, Nautilin? But no, Nautilins have much longer head tendrils.
As Brian says, it's just a nice hat.
It's just a neat hat.
Could just be a nice hat. Yeah.
That is fair. Well, I have a question. As far as Thalothians go, who's like a major character that we know that's a Thalothian? Do we know one?
Adi Gallia,
Okay.
Stas Ali.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Speaking of bad guys, I want to get to Vader because we know that Hayden Christensen's coming back. We didn't see him. We heard him. And then they dropped an image today, actually, of from the show, which was really cool. Classic Star Wars of him, just kind of in the dark with the smoke, etc. It's actually on the thumbnail now that I think about it. But obviously, 2 years ago when they announced the show, they said, "Oh, it's the rematch of the century. Like we expect to see Obi-Wan versus Vader." Everyone talks about that line from A New Hope, how it kind of implies that they did meet at some point after they separated. Is he going to be the main bad guy? Are we going to see a lot of him in this show, or is it going to kind of be in bits and pieces?
God, I hope it's not another Kingpin Cad Bane situation where he shows up. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. I hope they don't do that.
Where he just shows up at the very end.
Yeah, like
no.
At the very end of episode 5 or the second to last episode, and they're like, "Oh my God, it was Kingpin all along," or like, "I'm Cad Bane and the Pikes hired me," and then they're dealt with the next episode. Like, I want him to be a bigger presence.
I think he'll be in it a good bit. I'm excited to be able to see how much back and forth they actually show. If we do get the rumored like flashbacks from the Clone Wars, and we could see Hayden in his like Anakin Clone Wars armor and Obi-Wan in his white armor.
Yeah, I think that they've already said from the start, like, Anakin is in this, Vader is in this, so they're not trying to keep it secret like they did with Cad Bane or Kingpin or whatever. It's not going to be a big twist. So that makes me think that he will be a significant part of the series, and he should be, because I think it should be about Obi-Wan confronting his failure. Like, that's what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this idea. Maybe 2 or 3 episodes, or like 2.5, where the Inquisitors fail. Vader finds out who they're after, and he's like, "Okay, I'm handling this myself."
Yeah.
Like, it definitely makes sense. And like you said, it really is a show about Obi-Wan kind of coming over all of the failures that he has had in the past and realizing what the future he has to go towards. And Vader is obviously a big part of that. Plus, like, utilize Hayden Christensen. It's not just Ewan McGregor's first time in 17 years. It's also Hayden Christensen's first time in 17 years. Like, you would think it would go hand in hand, and it's been hyped up so much. I don't think that they'll let us down. I mean, just seeing them on screen together again is going to be incredible. And like in those flashbacks, if we get flashbacks, I'm going to lose it. Seeing him in that armor, I'm going to lose it. It's going to be so exciting. Of flashbacks, I do have a question though. Do you guys think it would be more of battles or more of like conversations between the two of them?
I hope it's more like quiet moments between the two of them. Just, having conversations, just talking about, having deep conversations, talking about what's going on. Yeah, I think that's what I would like to see more than like a big battle scene.
I want a little of both. Yeah, I don't need a whole battle, but it would be fun to see them with the clones.
Yes.
Like, I mean, bring Tim back, even if he's just in flashback, but like just knocking over clankers.
Mm-hmm.
And also clone troopers in like they're full on. If we got Rex in live action with
like the 501st, like what if it was like the 501st?
Exactly. But like I'd love to see them with their distinct armor.
Yeah.
Instead of just even in the Book of Boba Fett when we got that flashback, it's like, yep, they're 501st clones, but they all look the same. I'd love to see some clones with different armor.
Mm-hmm. What if we get like a scene where maybe they don't show Padme, but they show like Anakin talking about Padme, or like Anakin's like, I gotta go do this thing, and Obi-Wan is like, okay, we all know what you're doing.
Right, yeah. I feel like the Obi-Wan Kenobi series gets a free pass for me on a lot of stuff, because I keep talking about how like I want Star Wars to do different stuff, and I want it to get out of like this same 60-year time period, which is why I'm liking the High Republic so much. But Kenobi's cool. Kenobi, you can do that. I want Kenobi. And then we've been talking about how like all these shows have been doing like this flashback thing, and all these shows are relying way too much on flashbacks, and I'm sick of it. But Kenobi, I'd like some flashbacks from you. Like, please give me some flashbacks.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the one place where it's needed and wanted. Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. Just because it's me, I have to ask the question, and because I'm kind of like manifesting it. Does that mean we also get Rosario Dawson back as well in a flashback?
I would not be surprised.
Wouldn't surprise me either. I think that starts to get a little weird.
They'd have to make her look a lot younger, though, or else they would have to use a different actress. But I don't think they would do that. They'd probably just make her look younger.
Yeah, it'd be a whole different getup for her.
Also, they haven't said in live action who she is. I don't think they've straight up said, I was Anakin's Padawan.
Oh, whoa. They just like blew my mind all of a sudden. I think so.
I don't think they have. They've hinted at it. She's definitely said, like, I've seen what attachment can do.
She said, like, you're a lot like your father to Luke.
Yeah. She knows.
We all know who Luke's father is.
Yeah, she knows him.
She told Din that she was a family friend. I think that's the closest thing we've gotten.
Yeah.
Right. She keeps saying things that are like, to people who've seen the Clone Wars, but she has never said, Anakin Skywalker trained me. So
interesting.
I'm sure they could find a way to do it where it wouldn't be confusing. I mean, hell, it could be even fun if she's like Master, and then that's a revelation to people who've only seen live action, where they're like, whoa, wait, she was, well, like, that could be fun. But also it's like, that's a lot of de-aging. I feel like that she would look significantly different and smaller, and I feel like they'd have to recast her.
I think we are more likely to get something between her and perhaps like a Force Ghost Anakin in the Ahsoka series.
Yeah.
Or like her talking about Anakin to Luke in her own show.
That's a good point, that we know that Hayden's coming in for Ahsoka. So maybe this is the time for them to lay that groundwork. And it's like, yeah, it's a little bit of connective tissue between the other live action series. But yeah, I guess my sticking point just now was like, I don't think Rosario should do that. But yeah, if they recast her and had Ashley Eckstein voice her, like dub over it for a scene, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
It's just my Ahsoka loving heart that wants to see more of her. I know that she's overused sometimes, but I just love seeing, and the fact that it would be a Clone Wars flashback, like, it just
put her like in the background so that she's like not huge, like main character on screen, saying like, "Hey, Sky Guy, come over here," or something, better than that. But
it makes complete sense that she would be there.
Yeah,
I'm just like, how are they going to do it in an effective way? But you're like talking through it. I'm like, that would be pretty fun if that were how people learned that she was Anakin's Padawan.
Hearing Hayden Christensen say "snips" would blow my mind.
I bet he will in the Ahsoka series, if not
Kenobi. Anyway, I'll get off my Ahsoka horse here for a second. Okay, so taking a step from Star Wars real quick, I want to talk about the whiskey, and I want to kind of get into a little bit of a detail about kind of like how it's made and stuff. So I pulled up the website, and this is a crazy read, but I'm just going to read it real quick. And it says, the whiskey has spent at least 12 years in traditional whiskey cask, American oak ex-bourbon barrels, and hogsheads, which is essentially a more fortified cask. And then it moves to a Spanish oak ex Oloroso sherry cask for an additional 9 months. And then it's finally transferred to a large oak vessel for 3 to 4 months, so everything can marry. That's a lot going on for one whiskey, and it is Scotch, so they're obviously trying to blend everything together, make it as rich as possible, because Scotch definitely has a different flavor than your typical bourbon and stuff. But I can say, having it for the first time, and I was telling them before the show, I had to just try it before we jumped on. It is a really, really well done Scotch. It really is. I haven't had the chance to try too many Scotches because bourbon is always the one to go to for a lot of places. But it's not as like, it doesn't hit you as much as some Scotches do. It's pretty smooth. It's clean. It has a lot of flavor and a very different type of flavor than a lot of other Scotches. Like, for example, the taste, according to the website, are supposed to be smooth and mellow with beautifully combined flavors, nutty sweetness, cinnamon spiciness, and delicately proportioned layer of sherry, which is just a lot going on. So super impressed with this one. I'm very lucky that these two recommended it. This is why I let my guests do this, because I would have never found this before. And it opens my mind to so many different types of whiskey. And Brian, you can step back a little bit. I'm talking about whiskey. All right. I see you. See you in there, Brian. See you.
The show is called Whiskey Jedi, Brian.
I love talking about it, and it's enjoyable. Even if my guests aren't as well versed in it, they still drink it.
We just bought it on apparently Chuck Wendig's recommendation in a book. So
yeah, I only try new things if I read them or see them in movies. I'm very impressionable.
Hey, that's okay. There's a lot of those in movies, so that's okay. I think that's okay. All right, I'm going to bring up an interesting question that has nothing to do with this. But Gio, who is a part of Apocalypse Movies with me, brought up a very funny question that he is all on board for. And it's, need Sam Jackson to reprise his role as Mace Windu before the end of this decade. Do the same stuff they did in Captain Marvel. Thoughts on Mace Windu?
If they're going to do it in a Clone Wars flashback. Or, in Obi-Wan Kenobi in a flashback.
In a flashback.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I do not want him to have survived Revenge of the Sith.
I don't either. It's nothing I have against Mace Windu.
I agree.
We've brought back enough people, I think, that I don't know what the reason would be to really bring back Mace. A lot of people were like, oh, they should bring back Mace Windu and have Boba Fett confront him. No, Boba Fett's working on a lot more than revenge with Mace Windu. Like he's got a lot of other stuff going on, and he's moved past all that, and that's really nice to see. So I don't know why they would need to bring back Mace.
I think it would be cool and fun and a nice little surprise cameo if he appeared in an Obi-Wan Kenobi flashback. I'm totally down with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've de-aged Sam Jackson before, like Gio mentioned. Captain Marvel did it. You can do it for a quick flashback. It's for 5 seconds, and I'm sure Sam Jackson would absolutely light that purple lightsaber again. So yeah, I agree. I think the flashback, I don't want him in current timeline. It makes no sense. Like, what's he been doing for 30 years? Like, He's just been hiding out, doing nothing.
They'd have to explain like how he survived the fall and like what does that look like, and where has he been this whole time, and why is he now trying to get back in the game? I don't know. Although didn't Sam Jackson say that like he wanted to play him again?
Sure. Every actor says that. They're like, oh, I don't know. He could have survived. Like, what's he going to say? Like, nope. There's no way I'm never coming back to Star Wars. Like,
true.
All right. So getting back to Obi-Wan a little bit, the last thing that we kind of had to talk about, is him going off world and going to that one planet that we saw in the trailer. And I believe it's pronounced Dayu, if I'm not mistaken.
That's how I've been saying it
so far. And it was described as like a Hong Kong edgy type of city. And it's been a conversation over the last like year and a half, 2 years of whether or not people want to see Obi-Wan off planet or not. And of course, there's probably enough story there, especially if they bring Inquisitors to Tatooine. We saw Boba Fett do a similar thing. He was there. But do you guys like the idea of him jumping off world, a different adventure, something kind of comes up where he kind of has to put himself back into the spotlight and maybe hunting down something or kind of searching for some answers?
Yep. I wasn't on board at first. Like, just back when this was kind of first announced, I was like, I don't want him to leave Luke. I just didn't want him to leave for no reason. I guess they kept talking about, they're going to fight again. It's about Obi-Wan and Vader and their rematch. And I'm like, I don't want him to just seek out Vader, all of a sudden be like, oh, maybe I can fight. Yeah, maybe I could turn him, or maybe this or that. So the way that they are seeming to set it up, I'm very happy with, where for whatever reason, the Inquisitors come to Tatooine. That's obviously too close to Luke. Obi-Wan's like, in order to protect him and fulfill my mission, I have to leave, and I have to take them on a wild bantha chase across the galaxy and get them away from Tatooine, and also make it look like I haven't been living there and hiding there. He needs to maybe make it look like, oh, Tatooine was just a pit stop on my quest to just help people throughout the galaxy or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I like what Matthew Lang in the chat said. And, we've heard rumors about a young Leia showing up. It'd be interesting to see if Leia were going to be a part of this story, and if her also being involved is what causes Obi-Wan to leave Tatooine. Yeah. Like, both of them are potentially in danger, so he has to leave for the sake of both of them. That's been a rumor that's happening. I wasn't going to be the one to bring up rumors and leaks, but that was Matthew Lang. Yeah. So that was something that has been thrown around since before this teaser came out. And when that came out, I was also like, cool, that's a good reason. Like, he's protecting one of the two chosen ones, whatever, like the two children that we need to protect. One of them is in immediate danger, so I have to leave. Like, I thought that was a good reason too. So now this feels like they're just doubling down on good reasons. It's like, no, Obi-Wan super has to leave. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we know that he and Bale obviously have a relationship. It was they did that whole, not name drop, but essentially hinted at him in Rogue One. And we saw them at the end of the Revenge of the Sith, so it would make sense. It's funny, I didn't even think about it until it was brought up, and it definitely makes sense, which could be a very interesting storyline. Like, he's there to protect Luke, but he's actually going to protect Leia for something that does happen. It's a very interesting twist.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't name drop, but she talks about her father, that Obi-Wan fought with her father in the Clone Wars in the message that Luke finds in A New Hope. So it would be cool to bring all of that back and give us an idea of, like, this is why Leia might know who this is. And, like, Bale may have told Leia about him, or, somehow they knew about him. So that would be a cool connection for them to tie in for the show.
Would it be too far if Bale sent a message to Obi-Wan and he said, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope"? Is that too much?
That's too much. Let's leave that for Leia to say.
Just to find out that Leia just re-recorded the entire thing later on.
Bale's like, tell him this. He'll love it. He'll get it.
He'll know what it is.
He'll know what it means.
So I know that it'll eventually happen at some point in the trailer, or in the series, excuse me. But in the trailer, we obviously didn't see Obi-Wan with his lightsaber. Do we think that it will be ignited at some point? Like he'll have to use it, or is that put away? He's hiding himself as much as possible, and that's maybe for something against Vader?
I mean, they had him on the cover of the magazine with it ignited. They would
maybe it's just a promotional piece. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be, but I have to imagine that we will get some kind of duel with him and Vader.
Yeah,
I freaking hope so. Man.
Like we have to.
It's in the concept art. Like, they're gonna fight.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
They're
Okay,
gonna
so
fight.
outside of the Vader stuff, does he use his lightsaber?
I would love it if he doesn't.
We see him use the blaster.
Yeah.
So maybe he's actively trying not to use that.
Right, and he knows they're uncivilized. We know what he thinks of them.
Yeah.
I would like it if he kept like wanting to reach for the lightsaber and stopping himself. I would love it if they saved the lightsaber for the last episode.
Yeah.
It just to like everyone knows you're gonna turn that thing on. Like we know you two are fighting. I would like them to make us wait for it. But maybe he uses it at the start. There's got to be something that attracts the Inquisitors to Tatooine.
Yeah.
Maybe that's him. Maybe it's something else. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. What does bring them to Tatooine?
Well, there's someone we see in the trailer, the third sister confronting with a lightsaber. We see some like feet hanging out of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, is that another Jedi? Is this all a coincidence?
Mm.
That's,
Oh,
that's
maybe
a good, that's a
another
good question.
maybe another Jedi was found out to be there, and maybe they were looking for Obi-Wan, or maybe they were just looking for other Jedi.
I'm wondering if maybe they were tracking that guy and they found him and Obi-Wan's just like in the background,
Oh,
like
that's
putting his
crazy.
hood up.
It's a Jedi.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even think about the possibilities of another Jedi showing up. Like, I guess I've just been so focused on Obi-Wan and Vader, obviously. Like, obviously the chances of another Jedi showing up at this time period is very likely. Because
Yeah.
it's what, 10 years, I think,
Mhm.
right? In that time era. And there's definitely Jedi running around out there in hiding. And man, to see a Jedi hung in the streets of Tatooine would be pretty crazy. That would be
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
That would be very dark. But yeah, there's the one part in the teaser where it looks like the Inquisitor finds the Jedi symbol kind of like engraved
Mhm.
on a piece of wood, like on a wall or something. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, maybe that means there is another Jedi or more Jedi that are like placing these symbols in these places to say like, here, it's safe here, but I don't know. I don't want them to go too Jedi heavy other than Obi-Wan.
Yeah, it's like
Agreed.
Joseph. It's like Joseph Gordon-Levitt in The Dark Knight Rises. He's drawing the bat symbols everywhere.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool, actually. That'd be cool. Like just a Jedi running around the galaxy saying, "Hey, you're good. I'm here. Jedi
Yeah.
are around still." That's actually a pretty cool idea.
Mhm.
Hey, Sean, I see you, buddy. Thanks for popping in, man. Whiskey's great. Whiskey's great, Sean. Don't know if you ever had it before, but it's great. Okay, last
Great,
question
right,
before we
Molly?
get to our
Yeah.
rapid fire questions. I just wanted to know if you guys had one major thing that you may be looking for or that you're really excited to see in the series, something that you're theorizing about in the series, because we only are getting 6 episodes, but there's a lot that could be happening. Is there anything out there that kind of stands that we haven't seen that you're hoping that we do see?
Dexter Jetstern. Please bring him in. Oh, and when we had another revelation today of another character that could pop up.
Was that that was in our Q&A, but still I'm willing to talk about that. So we talk about this on Saturday, just off the cuff. I go, what if Elon Sleaze Begano shows back up? Which sounds ridiculous, but when I thought of it, I was like, I think that would actually be kind of amazing if during Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan Kenobi mind tricks this person and he goes home and he rethinks his life. He becomes a better person, and then years down the line, he bumps into Obi-Wan Kenobi and he's like, oh my God, I remember you. Like, you changed my life. And then he helps him. I would love if that one little like joke moment actually turned into something significant. I think it's a dumb idea, but I kind of love it.
Also,
that's a deep pull. That is a deep pull.
It'd be funny if he did show up and was like, "Oh my God, it's you," and Obi-Wan was like, "No, not me. I was no Jedi." Shh. Like,
so Molly, you're on the Dexter Jetster train?
Oh, I mean, that's another one that I don't think would happen, but
I think there's room for that too.
They could absolutely make it work. He's been around for a long time. He knows the galaxy really well.
I think Obi-Wan would trust him enough if he knew where Dexter
was. Him and Dex kind of have a little bit of a history that we don't know about. We've never seen. So for them to bring him back for like just a little bit to help Obi-Wan in some way would be really cool to see.
And Sean brings up obviously young Biggs, but like that's not a hope, that's a guarantee. Like young Biggs is for sure going to be in this. And if he's not, 0 out of 10.
0 out of 10.
Scampoli here has got an interesting one. I don't know if it'll happen in this, but fingers crossed for Ventress, maybe one day.
I mean, it could happen in a flashback, but
Alex is like, flashback or nothing. I don't know.
No, I mean, Dark Disciple happened.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll see her in this, but I would not rule out the possibility of seeing her in some story one day. You know, maybe there is some story that she fits into that they tell. It'd be very tough because of obviously her higher arc, but I would love to see it. I would love to see a live action.
I would too.
I would too.
And I know Brian would as well because he's a massive fanboy of Ventress. And Sean, spoiler alert, but I'm not going to bring that up on the screen just in case.
I mean, yeah, that's why I'm like, I doubt it.
As Doomslayer
Flashback,
said, yes,
maybe.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so before we get out of here, do some plugs. I want to do a little bit of a rapid fire questions with the Damon. Just kind of a cool little thing that I'm going to start adding to the show on a weekly basis. These are all Star Wars related. They're very quick answers. We're just going to pop them off. There are 15 of them. I'm going to go through them. You guys can give your answers. You can think about it if you need to. But if you guys are ready, I'm ready to fire these bad boys off.
I'm ready.
All right.
Kilo's ready too, but you can't see him.
Perfect. All right. First one. The one Star Wars planet you'd love to live on.
Do we do like a 1, 2, 3?
That's too much pressure.
Okay.
You go first.
Scarif.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, obviously.
Pre-explosion.
Pre-Rogue One.
I'll say Felucia just because it looks cool. That one didn't explode, did it?
No. But there are jungle rancors there.
Even better.
Hey, look.
Favorite piece of Star Wars merchandise you own?
Ooh. Can I say Grogu?
That one?
Sure, yeah. Life-size Grogu, yeah.
Merchandise specifically. I guess I'll go with the Biggs Funko Pop. That is probably the most expensive thing I have
to. The most expensive Funko ever.
Which is like, I can't believe when I was like, I'm gonna get all the Biggs merchandise. I'm sure he has a Funko Pop, and it was like a 2012 Comic-Con exclusive, and I was like, of course. And they did it because all it was like you paint a mustache on the Luke Funko Pop. Done. Easy exclusive.
Change his helmet a little bit, yeah.
I think I treated myself to that when we hit 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
One character we need to see more of.
Ooh.
I'll not say Biggs again since I just said Biggs.
Rose. Since you brought up Kelly Marie Tran earlier, I'll say Rose.
I mean, I just jumped straight to all of my simps, the people I simp for, like Cobb Vanth.
That's fair.
It looks like we might be getting
and
more
we
of
will,
him.
so I'm happy about that.
One character we need to see less of.
Darth Vader.
Ooh.
I'm super psyched he's in Obi-Wan Kenobi, but dude has had enough.
Yeah,
like
that's fair. That's fair. And he
if
died
they
how
announce
long ago?
if they announce another Darth Vader comic, I'm gonna
I
I'm
didn't
gonna
think
read
about
it.
the comics. Yeah, he's got so many
Yeah.
comic runs. That's right.
That's more what I'm like. He has had so much media, and mostly in the comics, and also they're good. Like they were all good, but I'm just like, there are other characters. He's just so marketable.
Yeah.
Mhm. I'll say Luke. I think after getting him his stuff in Book of Boba Fett, like we worked out why it made sense, but ultimately I was like, we don't need any more Luke, really.
Razor Crest or modified N1 Starfighter?
A Razor Crest. It had a bathroom.
That's true.
But you don't have a Grogu. You don't have a Grogu port in the Razor Crest.
Oh, he had his own chair.
I certainly would be more comfortable in a Razor Crest. I guess it depends on what we're doing.
It
but
had a bedroom, it had a bathroom. It was like a 2-bed, 1-bath. Cute little, yeah.
I'll ask Scampoli, have you read all the comics and all the books with Vader in them?
He does have
That's
a lot.
all.
He's in a lot.
If you have and you want more Vader, like more power to you. I'm just saying, like I've read so much Vader content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go in one. I like the speed.
Favorite Star Wars faction / group. So like the Jedi, the Mandalorians, etc.
Rebel Alliance.
Okay.
Jedi.
All right.
Pretty basic.
Clone Wars or Rebels?
Rebels.
Rebels.
I like it.
I prefer the chronological, just straight through. We're focusing on a handful of characters.
Yeah.
Instead of like constantly jumping around.
Yeah.
But I do think that Clone Wars has best episodes, if that makes sense.
It has a higher peak.
Yeah. It has higher highs, lower lows.
Yeah.
Rebels is more of a like just consistent.
Yeah. Saddest Star Wars death.
Ooh.
I mean, Kanan is up there.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's really good. Biggs is not an option.
That's not that sad, honestly. I mean, it's sad to me. But
Leia's death was pretty devastating too. Oh boy, Hilo. What
That's
do you
a great-
have to say?
that's a good question.
I mean, there's a lot of them, so
I might say Shmi. Like in my
That one is
Shmi, that's brutal. Oh
yeah, in my least favorite Star Wars movie, it is a moment that always gets me, and I think that it's one of Hayden's best like acting moments, where
I like that.
he's not on a green screen, he's on a set, he's dealing with another human, and like you see him go from like just despair to rage, and it's good.
Andy coming here with Satine.
Oh, Satine's good.
That's a
Yeah.
good one. That's a good one. Is Jar Jar Binks the Sith Lord?
No.
No.
I had to ask it. The one Legends character you hope we see in canon one day.
Gavin Darklighter, and I hope I get to play him.
Such a badass name.
Just because I just said Luke, I'll say Luke. Luke's evil clone.
No more Luke stories. We want only Luke.
Only bad guy clone Luke. Yes.
I'm surprised you didn't say Mara Jade.
Yeah. It would be hard to make her character make sense without involving her with Luke.
Yeah.
So, like, if we could get her character that had nothing to do with Luke or Palpatine, sure. But would that still be Mara Jade? I don't know.
How do you
I
think
think
fans would react to them adapting her and having her have nothing to do with Luke?
Probably not well, which is why I don't think it would happen.
I don't think that she would be Mara Jade like in appearance only at this point. Where that's why Trioculus. That's why I really like what they did with Thrawn, where they translated him and like he was Thrawn. It didn't matter where they put him in the timeline. Mara Jade, I feel like it kind of does. So yeah, that would be a really difficult one to do. But Corran Horn is a good one. Gordon Post. Any good pilot? Oral Quirg. I want to see Oral Quirg. He's a Gand pilot, and he's a treasure, like Zuckuss.
What does his helmet look like as a Gand?
I don't know.
Favorite Star Wars creature?
Loth Wolf.
That's good.
Boga, the Varactyl. Just because
specific.
Yeah. Because it had a very special relationship with Obi-Wan.
Favorite lightsaber hilt?
Cal Kestis.
I knew that was coming.
The prongs.
I knew that was coming.
I don't know what it is about the prongs, but I love it.
Ray.
Yeah,
Which
I
one?
knew that was
like
coming.
the final one?
The final one. The yellow one.
C-3PO or R2-D2?
R2.
R2. R2 is the VIP of Star Wars. Nothing would get done without him.
Star Wars movies or Star Wars TV series?
Movies. They just hit differently. I don't know. I mean, we wouldn't have Grogu if we didn't have the shows, but the movies still, I think mean more to me.
I agree. And last one, who is the greatest Jedi to ever live?
Luke.
Yep. Loden Greatstorm.
Sure.
Going High Republic just to get away from Luke and everyone related to him.
I think Luke is what George Lucas wanted to be like. This is how.
It's not what George wants. It's what you want.
Huh?
In here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think in George's mind and in my mind, like Luke is the epitome of throw the lightsaber away. That kind of Jedi. That's what I think Lucas wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to throw in a High Republic question, but I knew that every answer was going to be High Republic, so I kept those out of the rapid ones.
That's fair.
Well, I just wanted to say a big thank you for both of you coming on. I know it's been a long time that I mentioned this, and we finally made it happen. I would absolutely love to have both of you back, whether it be a random trailer that drops the day before the show is scheduled, or something, anything Star Wars, because I love talking Star Wars with you guys. It's always fun. And thank you for the whiskey recommendation as well. It's one that's on my shelf. It's going to be there. It's one that I can sip and not touch too often because it's a really, really good Scotch. So thank you for that as well. And before we get out of here, I'll let you guys plug whatever you guys want to plug. I know that everyone here probably already knows where to find you, but just in case, Alex and Molly, where can they find you guys online?
Star Wars Explained on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and Patreon and Facebook. And did I forget one?
I think you got most of them.
Right.
Instagram, you said Instagram. Yeah. Star Wars Explained pretty much everywhere. I'm at Mollie Damon on Twitter. Yeah, we're pretty much just gearing up for Obi-Wan content at this point. So we'll be doing reactions and stuff on our Patreon, so you can check that out. And then next week, we're going to start doing another playthrough of Fallen Order where I play.
You are.
Finally.
I'm going to play it.
Finally.
So if you want to learn more about that storyline and see the Inquisitorius, what's it called? The
Fortress Inquisitorius.
Why do they have to make the name so?
Sure.
You read it earlier and you were like, what?
the house where the Inquisitors live.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about that stuff, watch our play along because we'll get to that eventually.
Yeah, all the Twitter and the YouTube links are in the description for anybody who has not seen them before. Go check those out. You can find me here. I do shows every week, every 2 weeks, kind of varies. I'm also doing Marvel watch-alongs with my fiance Gabby. She's never seen a single MCU movie in her life, and we're getting her live reactions to everything that's happening in those Apocalypse movies, a certain point of view with Molly every week for the Schmodown, which is an absolute blast. So to everyone watching, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate it. Alex and Molly, thank you again. Can't wait to do this next time. Hope everyone has a great rest of your evening. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye, guys.